This film is to tell you a bit about how I've gone about my parallel project study. When I first started, I did a very rough timeline. I've got several small books which are have got lots of Picasso plates in them and a brief sort of outline of his life and happenings in the front. So I pulled that together and I started trying to do drawings, sort of picking one that was representational of each period to copy. But with life as it was, that fell by the wayside. I picked out this picture of Gertrude Stein because this was this was his sort of Picasso's turning point. He'd been trying to do her portrait in a very representational way, and had failed. And they, after 80 sittings, they weren't getting anywhere, and they both went on holiday. And during that time, Picasso looked more at sort of African sculptures and things, and he came back and he wiped out the face of the portrait and started to paint what he knew of Gertrude Stein rather than what he could actually see. And that was significant in 1906 of his sort of turning point to painting with much more emotional feel. So I just started collecting things I could about Picasso. This was the notes from Book of the Week, which was called In Montmartre. It was read on Radio 4, but it described the time in Picasso's youth when he first moved to Paris, and who he met, and people like Ambrose Vollard and Matisse, and the sort of influence that they had on him. And these were some notes I made from a book that I've got called Challenging the Past, which is here. And this is an exhibition catalogue. But what I've got from this is Picasso's, the different periods of time that he worked in. So his Cubist period, Surrealism, how he worked with the old masters, and it's a book that has helped me to see how he looked at old masters and how he reinterpreted them and looked at them in his own way. And what became unusual about this was the stage of life that he did that, because it's something that artists normally do fairly early on in their life, but this is something Picasso went back to in his 70s and started to unpack these old masters. And what also came out of this was just how much time and effort he spent doing that he would analyse through hundreds of